David Akin is here with me now. David, you're here because you're traveling with the Conservative leader who is campaigning here in Nova Scotia. How much of a battleground is Atlantic Canada in this election?
It's a big battleground. There's definitely going to be some changes here in Atlantic Canada, and possibly in this riding, as you mentioned, it has a history going Conservative. There are 10 seats in the region. That's about 1/3 of everything in Atlantic Canada that could flip away from the Liberals, most likely to the Conservatives. I think there's one seat up in Newfoundland and Labrador that could go to the NDP. The X factor here is the Green Party. They are showing some strength in PEI and in New Brunswick.
And healthcare, we know, is a major issue for many Canadians. And a life and death issue came up last night, assisted dying. A Quebec judge recently struck down some parts of the assisted dying law because it was too restrictive. What did the party leaders say about it?
Right, and this was a campaign issue last night and again today. This Quebec court is saying this ruling is unconstitutional because it restricts the right to a legal medically assisted death only to those who are facing a painful death. And the court's saying, no, those who have incurable conditions who are facing a painful life ought to be able to choose to die as well. So Liberal leader Justin Trudeau says his government is not going to appeal the decision. The deadline to do that is October 18th. But if re-elected, the Liberals will introduce legislation to amend the current law in line with the judge's ruling.
The government needs to make sure we're getting the balance right. The balance between protecting the most vulnerable and making sure people's rights and choices are respected.
Now, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer thinks Trudeau should appeal that Quebec ruling. He'd like to have the certainty of a Supreme Court decision. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, well, he'd like to open up the discussion about loosening the restrictions on who may have access to a medically assisted death. And Donna, this is not an academic discussion. This is a live, hot issue for all campaigning politicians because whoever forms government after October 21st is very quickly going to have to confront this Quebec court ruling that says more people ought to have the right to a medically assisted death.
A life and death issue for so many people. David Akin, thank you.